How's it? It's Kei here, you're watching Mix and Mingle. For as long as I remember, when I stayed in Vancouver, I always had a hunch that there's definitely some pros and cons to both countries like Japan and Canada. And even like misconceptions are prevailing, like Japanese people are always hardworking and disciplined like military. Whereas in Vancouver, I feel like, almost all of Canadians are like nature lovers who always like enjoy going camping and going skydiving, going skiing and any types of outdoor activities. Of course, this is just nothing more than generalization, so it doesn't apply to everybody. I know that, but it's a strong enough trend that I feel I want to investigate further. So today, I'd like to see what native speakers in English are thinking about their countries, and even misconceptions that people from other countries, just like me or some like other international students, might have towards their countries by using Cambly. Alright, are you ready for it? Let me hear it. Here we go. So like the first question would be like, I'm asking questions like, what is something you like about your country? Or perhaps like on the flip side, something you really don't like about? Or you hate the most? Like what specific experiences or events led you to feel this way?
Yeah. You mean where I currently am in Georgia?
Yeah, in Georgia, or some like perhaps where you were born.
Oh boy, that's we're going to need more than 30 minutes if you want me to go into those.
Yeah, totally agree. And you can tell anything that pops into your head.
Yeah, so the reasons I left or relocated, at least temporarily, from the United States are complicated. So it really would take quite a bit. But it's like I touched on it a little bit when I said I wanted to become the world traveler digital nomad guy. So I made these plans. I was a truck driver for 10 years, the last 10 years before I left. So, and I hated it, didn't want to do it, didn't like the work. But that's a whole nother story. So I made plans in maybe 2019. I started making plans in 2019 to, I was going to fly to Germany and spend 10 days here and then 10 days and 2 weeks in Poland and the Czech Republic. I was just going to make this tour, 10 days, 2 weeks in each country. And then wind up and spend like 3 months in Greece. I wanted to spend the summer in Greece and study because I'm interested in ancient Greek culture and classical literature and Homer's Odyssey and the Parthenon and the architecture and all that stuff. So that was my plan. And I had an itinerary. I had plane tickets purchased. I had Airbnbs for like 7 different rooms in 7 different countries.
Okay.
And I was due to leave like the first week of April in 2020. Well, we all know what happened in February and March and April of 2020, right? The pandemic just shut down the entire world. So anyway, I was, I basically had to stay in the United States for another 1.5 years and drove a truck for another 1.5 years. But I didn't like what I was seeing as far as the pandemic and the politics and so many things surrounding America that are too complicated to go into in a short conversation like this. I didn't like where I was. I didn't like what I was doing, and I wanted to do something radically different. So
basically, you want to change your life completely, right? Like radically,
pretty much, yeah. Exactly. And I wanted to see and do other things. I spent my entire life, except for the 1.5 years in Germany in the United States. So I've been there and done that. And as a truck driver, of course, I was all over the country. So I wanted to see something very, very different. I wanted to see Vietnam. I wanted to see Thailand. I wanted to see Poland. I wanted to see Argentina, and YouTube videos and reading about it is just not enough for me. Some people can watch a YouTube video about Spain and go, wow, that looks cool. And that's enough. I need to be in Spain. I need to eat Spanish food. I need to speak Spanish with Spanish people. I need to see Spanish architecture around me. I need to experience it. That's just me. So, that's kind of the long and the short of why I'm here in Georgia. I didn't like where I was and what I was doing. And I selected Georgia first because, like I said, it's very easy for an American to travel here or to. I don't need a visa, so I don't have a work visa or a any kind of visa. I just have a passport.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's really nice, and it's a very welcoming country for expats and digital nomads. It's business friendly. It's a developing country. The internet is fast. It's faster than what I had in the United States.
Oh,
it's tax.
that's very nice.
Yeah,
That country
it's really,
very suited you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I wanted to start an online business. I wanted to do something similar to what you're doing on the internet. So that's why I chose Georgia first, and it's kind of centrally located as far as other countries and places that I wanted to go.
Yeah.
See. Turkey and Armenia, Azerbaijan, Greece, Italy. So there's actually an airport, which I didn't find out until like a year and a half ago.
Really?
Yeah, there's an international airport 20 minutes away, and I was here a year before I figured that out.
Okay,
so we are a multicultural country. So I like the diversity of people, the diversity of food, the access of different types of food and cuisine. So I like all of that. So I like that. I like diversity of people, diversity of food, all the things that we can access. There is only one thing that I really don't like about the country, and we tend to talk about it as British people, which is the weather.
The weather.
We have predictable weather, as in it rains nearly all the time. But it's actually quite unpredictable, as in we don't always know when it's going to rain. So you might go out and the day might be sunny, and then suddenly it's raining. So I also don't like that it's cold. I feel the UK is quite a cold country.
I really love that Australia is, there's a lot of personal space. It's wide open. There's no overcrowding. You know, perhaps in the city centre there might be, but yeah, it's open. I love the fact that Australia is multicultural because we're fortunate. See, I see it a little bit different because I'm Italian. My parents are Italian, so I come from a migrant background. So I've lived with migrants all my life, like Italians all my life. So I see it a little bit different. But I still love the fact that we are so multicultural and that we, we can enjoy so many different cuisines here, so many different festivals. I think it's, it's awesome that you can go to a Spanish festival or an Italian festival or whatever, Japanese festival. One thing I don't like about Australia? Okay.
It's okay if you don't,
I'm finding it really difficult to think about one thing I don't like about Australia.
Yeah, I'm assuming you really like about Australia, so.
Yeah.
Very good question. So for me, as a father, the main thing I'm concerned about really is the quality of life for my family, not just for me. Like I said, when I was younger, I liked living in New York. It's just me. But now I care about the quality of life for my family. And the thing that I enjoy here that I think really suits us is, we live on a house, or we have a house with a backyard on a street with, on a 100-meter stretch of street, there's 5 other families with kids that are the same age as our kids. And basically we can just open up the door and the kids, they go out to play in our yard, and then they find some kids across the street and they play in their yard, and then the group of them just sort of move around, and they might be gone some days from on a weekend. They might go out at 12 o'clock after lunch. They'll come back for dinner at 7, and then they'll go back out for a couple more hours, and they'll come in at 9, because also the sun in summertime, the sun stays up very late. So at 9 o'clock, my kids were playing outside today. And then I called them in at 10 after 9, which is only like an hour ago, basically. So I think that kids have a very nice, relaxed quality of life here, without much no stress in school. Like there's no homework. I mean, it's just pretty easy going. And so I like the life that my kids have here.
So I'm wondering, like, is there any like
where I am
a little bit off or a little bit negative in Canada? Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. So one thing, this isn't a big problem here, but as you know from being in Vancouver, the homelessness and the drug problem in Canada is huge. And I'm sure that most people in Japan have no idea of that. Most people in Japan have this image of Canada and like the mountains and everything's, beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But in Vancouver, you probably saw it worse than I did. Drugs and homelessness is just a huge societal problem here.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
And also obesity, which also you didn't see that as much in Vancouver as you do in a small town in Canada. But where we live, so my wife is Japanese, and I rarely see a woman, I rarely see a 30 or 40-year-old woman who is my wife's size. My wife's just normal Japanese woman size. She's not big, she's not small, she's just very average. But everywhere I look around, the women and the men, everybody's huge. Like, especially, like I said, in smaller towns in Canada, it's a little bit sad to see, especially people who are morbidly obese. And so that's another societal problem that we have here. That it's a big issue. No, it doesn't affect me personally so much. So, and nor does the drugs and homelessness. That doesn't affect me personally.
What about the misconceptions? Like, what is the biggest misconception people from other countries, just like me or some like other international students?
Everyone in Ireland is super drunk all of the time. That we drink. It is part of the culture, but we definitely are not drunk all of the time.
Yeah.
That is the biggest one.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's it. Some Americans tend to believe that I was asked before in America if we have running water and how far I have to walk to go to the well. Like, they wouldn't know that we're as advanced as we are. So some people might think that we still are 100 years ago. But that's all. I think that's the only misconception, because other than that, Irish people are famous for a very nice welcome and being very friendly.
Yeah. Just like you said that. Are you seeing it as a negative or a positive one? Just
it's a positive one.
I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it's a positive one. The only negative one misconception might be that everyone is just drunk all of the time. Yeah, that's the one I can think of. If there's any more misconceptions, I don't know what they are.
Okay. Drunkenness.
Yeah.
Good culture.
Yeah.
That our accent is hard to understand. I've had a lot of people, say to me, you're very easy to understand. But I think there's a misconception that the Australian accent is hard to understand.
Yeah. Some people, for some people might be true. Like, they're kind of a little bit tricky, because like. Yeah, I found out when I used to report to my previous boss, like, and then he was Australian, and then I kind of half of understood what he was talking about at that time, but I was actually requesting him for, like, sending me messages with concrete examples of
that'll clear up any misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's the end of the story, so which is kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would say the thing that would surprise people the most is, and again, I don't know if you heard the stories, but in British Columbia especially, when kids take their parents to the park, they need to check the park first to make sure there's no needles on the ground, from drug addicts. And so they need to go, and the parents will actually go into the park and like pick up needles and put them in the garbage can so that their kids don't get stuck by a needle when they're playing the playground. This
So
is
basically,
common.
they're gonna have to make sure this place is very safe or not.
Exactly. They need to make sure it's safe from needles. And so I think that if you told a Japanese person in Canada, many parts of Canada, not where I live, but British Columbia for sure, where it's worst, that parents need to check the park and pick up needles from drugs before they let the kids play. That's like, I don't think a Japanese person could understand that. That's just like, what are you talking about? So I think the misconception is that that it's kind of like a very healthy, happy place, you know, because there's horrible amounts of obesity and there's horrible amounts of drugs, and there's not violence like the United States. You know, the United States has more of a violence problem.
It's
and
even
people
more worse.
expect that, right? People expect the violence in the United States, and that is something that is more a feature of the United States than Canada. But obesity and drugs are huge health issues and societal issues that Canada has that a lot of people probably wouldn't expect, you know.
So if you could change one thing about your country, what would it be? And what would you like? Why would you choose that? Why would you change that aspect based on your likes or dislikes?
That is a great question. And thank God.
Let's say in America. Yeah.
Oh, in America?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
America
different.
in general, or anything like. It's okay. You can, if you have anything in your thought, like you can say anything.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things about America that I would absolutely change. You know, I just mentioned San Francisco, which is essentially where I'm from. I was born and raised 30 miles away from San Francisco. So, but I moved away from San Francisco like 30 years ago. And so I had not been back to California in that time and for a long time. So in other words, I went back a couple of years ago, right before I came here.
Yeah.
And so I was able to see the radical change or the drastic change in cities like San Francisco and Stockton, California, over that 30-year gap of time that I wasn't there, right? So if I could change one thing, it would have to be whatever is causing the drug addiction and the homelessness and the just, I don't even know how to describe it. Just this dystopian society where there's just a lot of struggling, hurting, unfortunate people in San Francisco and Seattle and Portland and many other American cities. That is what I would change. I don't know how I would do it. Thank God nobody gave me the power to make things happen because, you know, I don't know how to do that. But
the government itself, they're not like, they're just ignoring them, right? Like they don't care. They don't care what they're doing.
Exactly. And I don't know what the government would do or could do, but they're not doing enough, clearly. So there's just something very wrong with the American system right now, and I don't know how it happened, but I kind of do. I have my own opinions, but if I had a magic wand, I would make it all better.
That's a good one. Yeah. I wish I had one.
I wish you did too. I wish we both
very
did.
bad thing about Japan and the rest of the world.
Yeah, we could sell those on Amazon and make a lot of money. Magic wand.
Yeah, of course. I think we have to create them immediately.
Exactly. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks so much. You too. Bye bye.